Um, then, we do send out a letter at the end, of school stating that here are the registration dates for the following school year, and that then at the beginning of the school year, they, I believe, send out another reminder to come in and fill out, start of the year paperwork. And so once they get that, completed, and I know last year I think we did go ahead and send out paperwork at the end of the school year for the fall of the next school year to kind of try to get a jump start on that and try to make it a little easier. We actually changed locations last school year. We were kind of in the central part of the district, and one of our schools was old and got flooded a year ago, December, and the basement flooded and it was beyond repair. And so they actually closed that school down and relocated those students in that school. It was a big kind of mess, and so we were relocated out to the school that's furthest from the center of town. Most of our kiddos come from living in housing projects and low-income housing, so transportation was an issue. And so, like I said, then they decided to go ahead and send paperwork home to try to help parents out in trying to get busing. The city buses don't come out our way as often as what they run through the middle of town. And so transportation's been a big issue for our parents. And, being able to get out there to school functions, for enrollment, things like that. And a lot of them don't have a lot of bus tickets and or money for cab fare.
So are there plans
so we're trying to kind of, they've increased bus routes this year. They've added another bus route or two. And they also, a special like Christmas program type activities. They, the city bus usually tries to accommodate us and will add an extra route, of an evening for those purposes. So, like I said, we've had to change our way of thinking from what we used to do, being in the center of town, to being on the outskirts of town, and how we do reach our parents and how our parents can get transported to and from.
Okay. Are there plans to build a new school?
No,
the district.
not
Okay.
at this time.
Okay. Okay, tell me, has there ever been a time where you've been around parents with an early childhood education, age child, from 3 to 5, who is not necessarily actively seeking education? Have you ever approached that parent and I guess I want you to describe how you do that, if you do, to seek, to enroll their children in a program?
A lot of times, in one instance in particular, one of my current students, his mom was with a friend of hers at a screening, and her little boy, who's now in our program, was with this friend, and she was getting her son or daughter screened at the screening, and her social worker went up to this mom and said, "Is he here for the screening?" She's like, "Oh, no, he's not here for the screening. He's not ready for preschool." She said, "He's not potty trained, and, he's just not ready." And she's like, and so she sat down with her and had a conversation and encouraged her, well, why don't you come in and let's, do this a little bit more one-on-one versus this whole big screening process and going through these different stations and different things like that. And so, the social worker is really, really good about seeking those families out. Just a lot of it, by being at the screenings, by being at different, events within the school, without, out in the public and the community, and developing those relationships with those parents, and encouraging them to seek, preschool and preschool enrollment and screening process. As a matter of fact, that little boy did go through the evaluation. He does have an IEP, but he is currently in my self-contained class. And however, because of her agreeing to all of that and getting him into the program, he has been like a little sponge, and he will now in the fall be in a pre-K blended classroom and has absolutely blossomed. And, Mom had thought that he wasn't ready, but after she's got him in the program and seen what he has done and how much progress he has made, she is blown away. We've offered her the support. He had gotten these tonsils and adenoids and removed and tubes and just kind of fostered and helped, offered resources and things to get her the help that he needed. And she's kind of the poster child of seeking those families out and the progress. And she thought personally that he wasn't ready because she didn't think that he was mature enough and, wasn't potty trained and didn't have those skills to go. But all the more reason to get him into the program was to, foster all those skills.
Oh, great. All righty. Well, here is the bonus question of the day.
Sure.
Describe a typical day for you. You're right. What's typical?
Yeah. Well, a typical day, like I said, I do not have a regular pre-K classroom. I have the self-contained early childhood special ed classroom. So I can have up to 10 students in my class. I have 2 assistants. One of my assistants has been with me only since November, and the other assistant right now is a internal step position because they moved my other assistant into a role. She had one of the other assistants in one of the other classrooms went out on medical leave. So to provide consistency in that classroom, they moved her. And so I have, in that position, right now, I have a different person in my room every 30 minutes. Other teachers and assistants are taking their plan time and internally subbing in my room. So, my typical day, we do start out with circle time, and we do songs, finger plays, things like that. Obviously, repetition is so much better for my kiddos. And then we wash hands and do breakfast. And after breakfast, we do gross motor time. And after gross motor, we come in and do our center time / independent direct instruction work. And we typically do that for about 40, 45 minutes, the 2 assistants and I. And then after we do that, then we sit down for another short circle time and do story, maybe a few more songs, work on shapes, colors, those different skills as a group. And then we prepare to go home, and we take them all out to the bus.
Okay. All righty.
And that's kind of the same for the afternoon as the morning. It's kind of our general schedule. And we've got kids anywhere with severe autism to Down syndrome to a general developmental delay. all varying abilities. They each have their own challenges,
Right.
and we do anything from getting them from climbing off of our counters to keeping them from running out the doors to,
Right.
it's just, we provide a lot of sensory input. I have a swing in my room, a little trampoline, sand, water, OTs in and out quite a bit. Speech therapies provide direct instruction and support services in my classroom. So we have a revolving door all the way around.
No.
We've got support staff in and out of there almost every day, all day long.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to ask you, so does Danville have a special school district? Like in St. Louis, besides the St. Louis school district, we have a special school district. And with our early childhood education facilities, well, it depends on the school. Most of them partner with special school district, and so you may have this special education teacher who is the main teacher in that classroom, and like you said, we have the physical therapy, PT, OT, speech therapy, and so forth. But depending on the needs of that particular child, there may be an aide that's hired just for that child.
Danville typically, I should say, very rarely has personal aides.
Mm-hmm.
They may hire an additional classroom aide,
Okay.
but typically they keep personal aides to a very minimum. Mm-hmm. Our needs are so high with our kids that they would have, a majority of our kids would have personal aides.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, we can't hardly find staffing now.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, for next school year, there are 20 special ed jobs available in our district.
Okay.
And so it is, we are operating on bare bones. Our pre-K program this year has been hit very hard. We've had one of our teaching assistants out with the bulk of the year with breast cancer. We've had another one out with a neck surgery. We've had one teacher out since January that she was supposed to be gone about 6 weeks for a hysterectomy. The doctor nicked her ureter in surgery, and she's been out all semester with 6 other kidney surgeries, fixing her kidney and ureter. We've had deaths. It's just been one
thing after the other.
And then another TA just went out with a medical, on medical leave. And so we've had a very trying year, our department.
Absolutely.
And, it has been very trying, and, you've got people wearing multiple hats, and so, to keep even my room staffed. In fact, when I put in for my absence for today, yesterday, my husband farms, so we weren't sure with weather if he was going to be able to take my daughter or if I would have to take her. So I held off for the very last minute, not knowing how it was going to go. And up until about 7 o'clock this morning, I had no sub. And so they finally did get a sub. But, it's just been our area's just been very hard to staff.
Right.
And we are Danville has become almost an inner city district. We were on hard lockdown twice this week. Our school wasn't because we're on the outskirts of town, but most of the other schools in the center of town were on hard lockdown twice this week with shootings going on around the neighborhood.
Oh, I guess I have no idea. I've heard of Danville, but I guess I just really didn't know what the environment was really like. I'm just surprised.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Yes. So, like I said, we are, a lot of these families. When Chicago, I don't know how familiar you are with Chicago and housing projects and things in Chicago, but they shut down numerous years ago. They shut down Sabrina Green, which was one of the big low-income housing projects in
it's still
the
open?
heart of Chicago.
It's still open?
And so, no, it is not open anymore.
Oh, okay.
They actually offered moving stipends to come down to our housing projects in Danville. So these people have migrated from Chicago to Danville, Decatur, Champaign area, and the high school, well, actually the whole district, other than pre-K, has went to uniform standard of dress because of the gang activity and things at the junior high school level. This is a district that's probably, I think the high school has about 2,400 kids. And like I said, most of them, probably 70% of them, live out in those housing projects. And so daily life is this constant turmoil. And now we're really starting to see the trickle-down effect into our pre-K kiddos. And, we've got 2 kids that are living in foster care right now that are suffering from, like, PSTD, PTSD, and reactive attachment disorder, and a lot of these psychological issues that, they can't even function in school at 3 years old in a classroom of 17 to 20.
Right.
And are really, really just falling apart, and we just don't have the staff to support them.
Right.
It's just really sad that these kiddos at age 3 and 4 years old have already gone through this much trauma in their life.
Right.
We're seeing more and more and more of that in our program. And since I got there 4 years ago, the kids have changed so much in 4 years. And like I said, when you've got one of the shootings that happened at around our magnet school the other day, supposedly, the gun was found on the school grounds, and the gunman, I guess, ran across the school grounds. I mean, that's how close things are happening. It's not 3 blocks away. It's within the school grounds. And the other one was in a half a block of the high school the other day, during the day. And, your Walmarts are even having daily armed robberies and things like that. So
I just never would have thought.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's just very, a lot of our industry in Danville has moved out over the last 15, 20 years.
Okay.
So a lot of those blue-collar families have left. And not a lot of industry has moved back in. Families are leaving the area for work, and you just don't have that tax base. You don't have that following, and things like that to support the community. So it's very unfortunate, and maybe one of these days things will turn around. So but that's kind of our district, our community, our big community in a nutshell. Kind of hopefully give you a little more background of our, so again, trying to reach out via social media is kind of becoming our outlet, I guess. And our our education of our parents. And that's the problem, is they've had a negative connotation of education and of school because of their own experience, that they don't value education like you or I do.
Right.
And a lot of them are on survival mode. I mean, when you're living in constant turmoil with your neighborhood shootings and things like that, it's kind of hard to
concentrate
education is kind of not a top priority.